we are in day 5 of this massive game mode. Basically, we're not stopping until we're like maxed out and fully into it. So we got a new chicken spawner. That's what we got. That's a brand new item. Yeah, we just got a brand new one. We wanna be able to buy a brand new lapis one, a lapis lazuli block, if I remember correctly. Yeah, that was the mission of last night. Sleep tight, craft the bed, place the bed, and go to sleep. Is that it? Like, what if we just do just straight up, instead of selling wheat, we just sell the potatoes in an abundance of supply. And now get a fucking load of that shit. Look, hold up. Let's see how many seeds we get with this. So I'm assuming we stack. Thing is, like digging through all of this is like a shitload of work. We got a shitload of seeds already. Let's plant on the torch. There we are. No way! This is giving me fucking. It's giving me extra wheat. Look at that! What the fuck? So we do a regular, we get a 1, 2. We do this. Our chances go up. Holy shit! I thought only for the seed. I didn't know for the wheat as well. We got a decent amount of that, like, cropping, so we're pretty set. Yeah, I didn't know that they could upgrade. We should probably start extending the farm out a bit more. Part of me doesn't want to do that because, like, you know, it's gonna be more farmland to take care of, but it does provide a good amount of food. Well, not food, but like good amount of like items to sell. We do need the money, so. We should be farming the pumpkins as well, because they do give us a lot as well. Want to test something out as well. Gives you 3 or 4. If we can multiply that amount, won't we just end up making more out of just the pumpkin seed, or I don't know. We gotta test this out. this Minecraft song. She'll bring back the good old days. I don't know, Minecraft. Why you putting me with this music, yo? Let's go with you. Alright, let's take a farming for the pumpkin. Pumpkin patch is ready. We'll test out the theory of pumpkin seeds. I'm gonna go and sell and see how it goes. So we do want to craft one pumpkin seed. So a pumpkin bears what? 4 seeds per minute? Well, per pumpkin. I'm tweaking out here. So each one gives you 4. So we got that amount down, and we have a sturdy amount of a stack and 31. Let's see how that plays out. Pumpkin seed is worth 5 pennies. 5 plus 4, 20. The pumpkin itself is worth 22. So then I guess we're going for the pumpkin alone. The reason is because no matter what you do, the pumpkin sells more by 2 pennies, so it's worth it. The wheat comes out to about 10k. Nice, nice. Alright. So let's focus back in on the game. Oh wait, we could buy the thing now, right? We could buy the lapis. There's only a dirt generator. Let's go plant down the thing that we need to plant down, the lapis that we blocked. Let's go generate some more lapis. We just always go for the grabs while we can. The more we put these things on our daily things to do, then the more we'll get used to it and the more we'll make money. Even though making money this way is going to become obsolete someday, but for the time being, it's all we could do. All we can muster, baby. All we could do. Damn it. It did last me quite a while though. It was pretty good. Yo, it's funny looking at them grow. They're all growing one by one. Let's get rid of all these seeds. We don't need them. We never need seeds. We got way too many of them. Let's go. Put this one right there. It's gonna take a minute to generate, but we'll get what we have right now. I thought Lapis was the generator, like for like a wealth and all that, but I turned out to be wrong. We're using the right tool, right? Oh, fuck, we only got that much out of 4 chip 4. Pumpkins regenerate OD fast, yo. Not lying. They are a great source for what we need. Let's go and craft one of them. Oh, look at that. We have more lapis in there. And some pumpkin. Funny. Let's see. Lapis, baby. That's what I came for. I didn't come for these because I don't need them anymore. They're a bit too overpowered. Trading them's gonna be a headache. However, we did come to kill chickens, so let's go and grab that out the way. We're not here for the chickens because there's no chicken here, but we are gonna go find it. We're gonna go to the nest. The chicken of the pollo loco. So one thing that we got out of this is that we can't fish. Oh, it's nighttime. We didn't sleep. We're fucking dumb. One thing is that we can't fish at all, so we can't feed the ocelots, so keep them as pets or trade them for anything. So I don't know why they have a ocelot spawner when it's useless, you know. Oh, we can't even edit it. I don't see, are we playing in hardcore mode or not? So I guess we do need the pickaxe on us. Motherfucker, that was the one. Let's see what we got here.
That would have been from the ocean. That's what I suggest, because in the middle of that caldera you have huge patches of salt. And is it reasonable to suggest that that salt existed before the creation of that volcano? Because it seems to me that all that that salt would burn up. And not only that, there is scientific studies that show that there are gastropods, which are sea life, that existed inside that caldera that used to be 1,000 feet deep and dried up just a few thousand years ago. So the fact that this is an 11,000 foot volcano that has salt on top of it, I would say is corresponding evidence that the ocean had once went through it. And if you go over a couple more images, Jamie, you will see far better images that show you that. Okay, so notice how it cuts off. You see to the black right here? That is a lava flow that's dated around 12,000 or so years ago. And regardless of whether the volcano or that water erosion happened 12,000 years ago or 2 million years ago, that in itself is evidence that the ocean blasted through the Sahara Desert literally 50 to 60 million years more recently than previously known. And the implications of this, as far as climate science, as far as the topic of geology and cataclysms, cannot be overstated. I mean, does it not look like that lava flow is cut off by whatever type of erosion that is? Does it? I mean, that's
completely. Yeah, it's such a clean line, and it aligns with all the water erosion marks that are to the left. Can you make that smaller, Jamie? Can you make it stretch it out? Really clear to see that it looks like a line, like a water line, passed through what was marked by the volcanic eruption.
And this is one thing I say, I'm like, it's visible to anyone that has eyes to see, but it turns out that the Sahara Desert is one of the least studied places on Earth, mostly because it's so inhospitable. It's an average of 125 degrees Fahrenheit much of the year. It is so unbelievably big that just to get out there, I mean, you need reliable aircraft or vehicles. Most of the countries out there are, I regret to say, third world, in that we just don't have supplies. It's not feasible to just travel out there with a whole team on a whim. So most of it is essentially undocumented, and it's not a site. The Sahara as a whole is not a site that gets much attention, unfortunately.
I'm going to bring you in, otherwise it's going to take forever.
Yeah, I was going to say something that you mentioned about the origin of, I guess, Plato's description. You said it was mud and grass. It was like the aftermath. It's interesting. It's a topic I've been exploring recently. Is that does match some of the translations of origin stories from the ancient Egyptians. So it's like. The Temple of Horus at Edfu, it's this amazing structure, but it's literally covered head to toe in hieroglyphs and descriptions and all these types of things. But one of the stories in the translations they do talk about is this, what they would call the original point, or the primordial mound, the primordial island. They describe it as being an island that was surrounded by water that was sinking, and essentially these reeds that were growing on it that created a falcon's perch, and then the god, it was either Horus or Horus, one of the falcon gods. Lights on this perch and then gains divinity, but as part of that story, I mean, and then he goes and forms Kemet, essentially the motherland of Egypt, and it's this tale of them, I guess, their civilization moving and migrating to this new land. But they do talk about the whole stack of unknown gods and a whole culture that existed before that. It's an interesting correlation. It's something that Graham Hancock speculated about in his work with the Temple of Horus at Edfu. They also have, catastrophic flood myths and things like this, but it may be that whatever prior civilization, and that's might have been where the dynastic Egyptians actually got their origins from, because it seems clear that they've inherited some things from the past. That's a story they themselves tell.
Yeah, I wasn't aware that the story of Atlantis had come from Egypt.
That's one of the most bizarre parts about it. I didn't know this until just a few years ago either. It's like, oh, wait a second, Plato, his distant relative Solon had traveled there in search of knowledge, because Egypt was the place to go for it. And yeah, it was the priests of the Delta that told Solon, and they said that so 6,000 years or 9,000 years, prior to the time of Solon was when the sinking of this city happened, and that works out to be 9,600 BC, so 11,600 years ago, which is bang on exactly where now the geological evidence points to basically the end of the Younger Dryas cataclysms. Like we know something happened at the start at like 12,800, 900 years, and then 11,600 years ago was that end of the Younger Dryas that brought us up out of the cold spell and into the Holocene.
Isn't it crazy that that's a full 1,000 years, and we think about it in like the same time period? Like, yeah, I mean, around that time.
I know, just
we're
playing around with it,
literally 11,600 to 12,800. We're literally talking about 1,000 fucking years.
Yeah.
It's so much time.
It's so much time.
Mean that. When we fund the government this year, things better change, Mr. President. You come down here and you make threats to us about what you think's going to happen with respect to default. You come down here and lecture us in the people's house. Let me tell you, Mr. President, we're a co-equal branch of government. And we're not going to allow the American people to continue to be targeted by the very government that is supposed to protect them, that is supposed to do their constitutional duty, that is supposed to secure the border of the United States, that is supposed to stop fentanyl from coming in, that is supposed to have operational control of the border so that neither Americans nor migrants are dying, that is supposed to stop dangerous cartels, that is supposed to stand up to China, that is supposed to have a strong military, sparingly used but not woke. We're not supposed to spend money we don't have. We're supposed to balance our budget. We're supposed to defend the American people. And I'm not going to agree, sitting in the Rules Committee or on this floor, to continue the process of spending money we don't have, of not changing the status quo, and not demanding that the President of the United States act like it. Act like he's the President. Defend this country. Secure our border. He doesn't get to come down here and lecture us. The people's house decides how dollars get spent. The people's house represents the people. We need a reckoning. We need to actually stand up and fight. Stand up and be counted. I'm not going to go around the circles that we constantly go around in this place. Having another meeting about another meeting about another meeting. How about we just stand up for something? How about people be on the floor of this body debating? Get another hour of special orders, another half hour of special orders. I'm sick and tired of watching Texans that I represent die from fentanyl. I'm sick and tired of watching my fellow Texans in the state legislature debating right now spending more Texas taxpayer money to do the job the federal government is supposed to do and secure the border. I'm sick and tired of walking around on eggshells around a body comprised of members of both sides of the aisle that refuse to do their job to stop spending money we don't have and say, oh, well, what political, cold-tested 80% issue can we put out there and go to the American people with so that we can sound reasonable in our demands? How about we just demand what's right? Why don't we just stand up and say, you know what, we're going to balance our budget. Giddy up. That's what every American does. That's what every business has to do. But no. We'll keep going around in circles. Each side going to their pet projects. Meanwhile, the federal bureaucracy is going to continue to be at war with the American people. Like my friend Scott Smith, who was here last night. Not one single mention by the president. Hadn't apologized a lick for putting him through that. Domestic terrorist. employees that worked for him whipped Haitian migrants when he knew full well, both from the video evidence that we all saw with our eyes and a memo from his own people in Department of Homeland Security, that was not true. He knew it. And then he blamed it on systemic racism. Has he apologized? No. And the reason he hasn't apologized is because he's at war with the people of the United States, and the fact that his job is supposed to be to secure the border, and the president knows it. The president goes down and does a photo op with a preset visit in El Paso, where they literally go out and clean out the streets of the migrants who are piling up in El Paso, and sets up a photo op. And then last night dares to come down here to the American people that were trying to go after their Social Security and Medicare, and offer nothing about his constitutional duty as President of the United States to secure the border. Mr. Speaker, I will yield back here in a minute. I see my time is running short. I will just close by saying this. The American people expect more out of the People's House. They expect more out of the President of the United States than what we saw last night. It was not a State of the Union. It was a state of confusion. We have an obligation to do our job and stop spending money we don't have, secure the border of the United States, and actually represent the people. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield back.
The gentleman yields back. Members are reminded to direct their remarks to the chair and not to a perceived viewing audience.
Hi, guys. I found a fun strategy game. The Lord of the...
And even today, that it's pro-life to vote against this bill. We've heard that suicides are prevalent, and suicide has impacted my family, so I'm sensitive when I hear something like that. I've read some of the stuff that you've done, and I was wondering, can you speak to the statistics of mental health and suicidal tendencies for the people who have gone through transition or for people who have not? In your studies, from what I've read, can you speak to that?
Sure. Well, the claim that doing the chemical castration drugs or surgery or hormonal intervention, the claim that this prevents suicide or has positive psychological effects down the line is utterly, totally baseless. There are no credible long-term studies that bear that out. And one of the reasons for that is that there couldn't possibly be any credible long-term studies because we've never done this to kids on this scale ever before in history. So this current, shall we say, crop of children, they are the guinea pigs. This is all experimental. We're sort of trying it out on them to see if it works. Now, they have attempted a few times to do studies, and the interesting thing is that the World Professional Association of Transgender Health, WPATH, which is a radical far-left pro-trans organization, they commissioned a study to try to prove that that hormones and puberty blockers decrease suicide rates among trans-identified youth. And even in their own study, they found that they couldn't prove it. They couldn't make that link because it's just not possible to do. The other thing I'd mention too is that the number of trans-identified youth has skyrocketed in recent years. We're talking about exponential 10x, 20x growth. Just huge numbers have increased. And what we hear from the pro-trans side is that, well, this is not a social contagion. It's just that there's always been this many trans people. It's just that they were not in an affirming environment before in history, and so they couldn't come out. And now, for the first time, trans people have the ability to live their truth, so to speak. Well, if that's the case, and there have always been these sort of like millions of trans people, and if it's also true that if we don't affirm them, that it would cause them to commit suicide, then we should be able to look back in history and find just this unbroken, incredible epidemic of children mysteriously killing themselves because they weren't being affirmed as trans. And what you find is that didn't
thank you, Mr. Walsh. I found it interesting. One of our people testified today that they had their gender affirming surgery at 16. And I know you in former comments mentioned this on your blog. At about 16, you're an adult who is mature and can make decisions. You're that at 16. I don't care what anybody says, even going so far as to say, 16, when you're 16, you should be married and could be pregnant or should be pregnant. So I'm curious if 16 is an adult in your view. Why does this bill have the minor defined as 18?
That's a hit piece you took from Media Matters, from something when I was a radio host 13, 14 years ago in my early 20s. It's also not an accurate reflection of what I actually said. I was talking about the fact that people tended to marry young historically, and that's all that was about. How does that relate to this subject?
Just curious of your definition. Do you feel like for adults at 16 should it?
Most people are adults at 18, but actually your brain is not fully developed until you're 24. So we should be having a conversation about whether we should be doing the surgery for people at 18. But certainly before 18, it's I mean, do you think that a 16-year-old can meaningfully consent to having their body parts removed? Do you?
She was having some serious relationship problems. Her husband used to be addicted. Decided to pull back after she thought it was just a phase.
No.
You can give us some of your educational background or your healthcare experience. Mr. Walsh, you're right.
My experience in healthcare?
Your educational background. I'm just curious. You testified as to a lot of your own research. I'm curious for what purpose you do that and what background you have that qualifies you to speak to that.
Well, my background that qualifies me to speak to this is that I'm a human being with a brain and common sense, and I have a soul. And so, therefore, I think it's a really bad idea to chemically castrate children. That is my experience. Also, I did. Now, it's true. I didn't go to college, but I did go to school long enough to learn how to read, so I could read the data for myself, and that's exactly what I've done.
And for what purpose do you conduct your research and use this brain of yours?
Mr. Walsh, you recognize. I use it for the purpose of trying to protect children from being castrated and mutilated. That's one of the things I try to do.
You don't use it to, thank you, Mr. Chairman. You don't use it to get clicks on your publication?
Well, are you using it right now to try to get clicks with this interaction? I really like the idea of getting of drawing attention to the fact that this is happening to children. I know you seem to find it very amusing. I don't. Representative Clements.
Well, you made a lot of misrepresentations and characterizations in your comments, so I think it's fair for me to question your background.
What did I mischaracterize?
Let me finish, please.
You're recognized, Representative Clements.
If you're going to come forward and make mischaracterizations and misrepresentations, it's fair game for us to ask you your educational background and your foundational knowledge for making such characterizations. That's my point. So I'm curious about you speaking to the development of the human brain at about the age of 25. I seem to recall you advocating on behalf of firearm possession at the age of 18. Do you think that's
Let's stay on the bill, please.
That's all I got.
Okay. Yeah, well, can I respond to that? Representative Mitchell, you're recognized. I can't respond to what
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, I think your original article, blog post, or tweet, or whatever, kind of started this firestorm. So, I'm trying to figure out, where we need to look for these surgeries. Because I'm still trying to find, the surgeries. Because, the sponsor of the bill last week, I kind of agreed with him. I said, we need to split this bill into two parts. I may agree with him on the surgery part, because I don't think it's happening. So, you seem to have started this. I need your evidence of where these surgeries are occurring in Tennessee. Could you give me, places, times, maybe some names, or something that, you know of?
Yeah, Mr. Walsh, you're recognized. My evidence is the healthcare provider's own words. I outlined Vanderbilt Health and their transgender care program, and the people that work for that program, their own words, talking about what they do. Talking about, for example, providing the chemical castration drugs to adolescent children. As far as surgeries, double mastectomies do happen, and the way that I know that they happen is that after I called attention to this program at Vanderbilt, they said that they were going to stop performing, they were going to put a pause on the program that performs these surgeries on minors. And so if you're pausing the program that performs surgeries on minors, then I'm going to assume that the program existed, otherwise I paused it. So now, the exact number of kids who are being subjected to this, I don't know exactly. It's really hard to come up with those numbers, I think, because the people doing it aren't really proud of it, and there's not a lot of interest on their end to tell us. But I do think that, even one child being horrifically mutilated is too many. So I know there's more than one, and that's reason enough to put a stop to this, I would say. So, Richard, you reckon?
So last week I had an amendment that, we're looking to protect children from abuse. And I also had an amendment to stop cosmetic surgery of rhinoplasty and breast enhancements. How would you feel about that? Is that mutilation of children as well under the age of 18 that can't think for themselves?
Representative Mitchell, that's not on the bill we had.
Yeah, it is. It's surgical.
I'm happy to answer that. You're free to answer as well. Okay. My personal feeling about banning breast enhancements for minors? Yes, I would be all for. Personally, I'd be all for it. Absolutely. Yeah. Representative Mitchell.
Okay, and so I think the previous representative, proved that you have no medical background, correct?
No.
So you're here probably as a public policy. You're trying to address good public policy, correct? So I just have to question, some of your public policy, expertise when, I'm reading here, Singapore is able to have nice things in part because they execute drug dealers by hanging and arrest even petty vandals and thieves and beat them with a cane until they bleed. We don't have nice things here because we aren't willing to do what is required to maintain them. So, statements like that, I kind of have to question your public policy beliefs. And, and you also stated there's been no studies. Well, I'm sitting here holding a study from the American Academy of Pediatrics, from the University of Pittsburgh about the suicidal disparities between transgender and cisgender adults and children. So I think, before you state things, you may need to know all the facts. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is that Congressman? Chairman Williams, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I make a motion to go back out of session, or back into session. Thank you.
Is there objection?
I simulated a hardcore zombie apocalypse on my Minecraft server. Whoever is left alive and escapes the city in 7 real-life days wins. The thing is, though, every single day, the virus evolves. The zombies become faster, stronger, break blocks, and on the 7th day, the server will switch to hardcore. If anyone dies between now and then, they lose 1 heart of maximum health. You lose all your hearts? Well, you know what? Time to stop playing Minecraft. It's gone. But it's not only the zombies you need to fear. No, it's the living. PvP is enabled. So anyone can threaten or map that we're playing on. It is absolutely incredible. It was built by Bob Hartwell and a bunch of other
Oh yeah, we gotta craft
So I spawned in the
more.
nuke city
30%
just
of it.
outside of this absolutely beautiful
Fuck that, we're not doing
mansion.
all of that
The
right
only
now.
problem was that I didn't know what the food situation was going to be like here. I didn't know if I was going to be able to find animals and how difficult it was going to be to find actual food. So I didn't want to sprint on my first day and drain my hunger bar, especially considering that zombies don't spawn for the first